Hello everyone. So I'm using a spread, well it's actually a mat. You guys will probably recognize, there's the back. I've used that a lot for a different color because some people don't like the green background. But anyway, that's all just a side note. I have in my hands the pocket size Rider-Waite Smith. It's the Radiant Rider-Waite version. And that's because these houses are, smaller. I can't, even my cut down deck, I can't fit the whole thing in without covering up the house. So each of the houses, as you can see, if I get my hands out of the way, are of the major arcana. So I'm taking out all of the major arcana out of this deck, okay, and setting it aside. And I'm only using the minors and the court cards together. And just think in terms, the reason I'm doing this is to think in terms of, at least the way I teach tarot, is that each one of the majors are an evolutionary gateway. Okay? So we always have the Fool left out because it's like the hero's journey to make it through all the gateways. And sometimes we hop around, you know. Who knows how many lifetimes we could spend in even just one of these. So anyway, my intention for this reading is to tune into Donald John Trump Sr., and look at his future between now, which is Saturday, November 30th, 2024, and January 20th, 2025. And I may do grand tableaus with the Lennies and the Kipper as well, but I wanted to just get a baseline with this, doing it this way. Donald John Trump. Donald John Trump. Saturday, November 30th, 2024 through January 20th, 2025. Okay. Nope. I'll go ahead and get them all laid out so that those of you who are very versed with the tarot you can drop in comments about what you get. Or any intuitive hits. It doesn't even have to be, because we all have our psychic, our spidey senses. So whatever you get, you go ahead and put it in the make a nice comment with it. Even if you don't agree with me, that's okay. As long as you don't call me names. Okay. Oops. Almost dropped the whole deck. So, okay. With the Eight of Pentacles showing up in the in the house of the Fool, so his journey is to just, I didn't allow for reversals, but just to keep working at it. He has not accomplished anything in this lifetime, and except for knocking off maybe some negative karma, and there's going to be a lot more. I have always felt that one of his soul tasks in this lifetime, or the major soul task, was to go through experiences of humiliation so that he could at least meet some of that pain, but instead he projects it back out onto others, just the way, a malignant narcissist will always do. So anyway, Eight of Pentacles is our card for getting a bit of an education of some type. It can be apprenticeship, so we could say the people have been fooled by the Apprentice show that, he put on, and people think that made him, he had his own TV show. Anyway, But on the dark side, which is, you know, of the realm of which he inhabits, this is my card when it comes through in the reverse position for external validation. So simply put, he's the fool that needs external validation and massive amounts of attention all the time. And he doesn't really have much focus, right? So, okay, in the house of the magician, which is our house for understanding that we have all the tools and resources within us to create just about anything that we want, based on, you know, a person's karma. But for him, this would be the house of lying. This would be the house of manipulation and lots of confusion, lots of scams, lots of grifts. And, you know, that's pretty much it. His resources are based in everybody just, you know, him putting this out there so that everybody thinks he's the winner. He is the victorious one. He is the chosen one. You know, all this public recognition and victory and self-confidence and blah, blah, blah. But you know what else? This card, when it comes to reversed, again, I didn't allow for reversals because I wanted you to be able to see the images. The cards are small. I have the camera up high. But what we have going on here in the reverse position is a fall from grace. He doesn't have, you know, any grace inside. It's our card for a big, fragile ego, overblown ego that is still just super fragile. And really a lack of self-confidence. I mean, he even cheats at his golfing, so that tells you a lot. But, you know, it's kind of like that horse you rode in. We love horses, but the hell with you and the horse you rode in on kind of a thing. Because this is his grift, his scam. Okay, in the house of the high priestess, now, to me, the high priestess is our, you know, first we have to know that we have all these resources within us, and then we encounter the high priestess, that gateway, and it's all about connecting with your higher self. So you might want to manifest something, but you need to check in with your higher self to see, well, how would it affect other people if I did this? How would it, you know, because you might have some crazy idea of, you know, something awful for the planet or the environment, or you might not be considering the environment when you make, you know, when you're thinking of your manifesting, things like that. So anyway, what he has with in the connection in the house that has to do with the connection of the higher self, he has regret, disappointment, loss, only focuses on what he, you know, what he lost. Like the spilling of life force going in the wrong direction, when what the person needs to do is do the grieving work, I suppose, but his higher self is grieving for the fact that he's not on board, simply put. But if a person has done their grief work, they look up, they see the clear blue sky, they turn around, they see, or maybe they don't look up and they just turn around and notice, hey, I still have a lot right here. And they take it as just a lesson in, you know, swimming through and along the river of life, and they cross that bridge and go back home to themselves, right? Or maybe he got kicked out. Maybe he got kicked out of the party. Maybe that's, you know, more about what that is. So anyway, with the Knight of Wands coming in the Empress, at the House of the Empress, I think I'm going to just keep this more political rather than give you a teaching and what the gateways of the cards mean, just because I already have those videos in my lessons, at my lessons level, and anybody that wants to learn that can go ahead, and this will be shorter if I just go this way. This is Russia, and he is raring to go for Russia. He might not have a good sense of direction, though, but he will do whatever Putin tells him. Okay? Same thing here with the Emperor. at the gateway of where he should be being creative and devoted to protecting women and abundance and things like that. No, he's off headed towards Pooty. With the Emperor here and the Knight of Pentacles residing in that house, this tells me that his leadership, Trump's actual leadership, is stalled. It is completely slowed down and stalled. The Knight of Pentacles, it's one of those cards where you have to hold steady, and it's kind of like one foot in front of the other, but it's about determination. I guess we could say, on the brighter side of it, he's super determined to think he's the, Mac Daddy of the USA, when I'm pretty sure more than half of the people on the planet, or not planet, well, actually, who knows, can't stand him. But at least in the USA, we know he didn't really get in. I mean, we know he really wasn't duly elected. We know that he was supported by some little guy over there in a country with a GDP of like Rhode Island. Okay, in the House of the Hierophant, now this to me politically would be our government and our government's belief system, and but for him to have the Nine of Pentacles come through here, I think because he is so indebted to Putin, our government really does need to come down on him and hold him accountable in some way. This would be the house of group, what the group identifies with, how we conform to traditions and beliefs and all of that. And even the status quo. But it's also for him, on the dark side, his house of guilt and where he's stuck based on his beliefs. Okay? Where he's stuck is thinking that money and luxury is the only thing that matters, when that is absolutely not true. Also, again, I didn't allow for reversals, but the Nine of Pentacles reversed is a card of being in an incredible amount of debt and being trapped. And again, external validation and financial issues that have set you so far back. I mean, remember, he wasn't allowed to get enough. There was a point in time where he had to start going outside the country to get bank loans. So that's where Deutsche Bank came in. So, okay, anyway, in the House of Lovers, which of course would be like his card because he's a Gemini, but to me this is a house of decisions. And with the Two of Pentacles, he's flip-flopping all over the place. In that gateway house of making decisions and making good choices, coming from your heart and your head together, well, we know he doesn't have any connection to his heart. So here we are with just his head. And he's flipping around. He's got marbles running around in his head. And all he thinks about is, what does who want in that little country, or actually large country with small GDP. And there's that, right? Two of Pentacles is my card for him needing to adapt and prioritize things. But because of him and the way he is, I have to read this as a reversal in the fact that this, again, external validation, again, disorganization and finances all over the place that he can't really juggle because he doesn't really know what he's doing. Because, of course, he believes in tariffs. He's just an idiot. He's an idiot. Okay. In the house of moving forward under success, the Chariot is the major arcana gateway that has to do with self-control and willpower and victory and self-assertion and self-determination, all of those things. But we can't really do that well when we don't when we're not coming from a centered place. Instead, your horses are going in two different directions. Your power is going in two different directions. But yeah, I feel like he's not going in the right direction, and whenever he thinks about which way to go, for some reason or another, Biden's on his mind. He might be really worried about what Biden is going to do. And if of course, like I said, we're reading his future with the gateways, because wherever he is in these evolutionary gateways will determine his future. This is his karma and his future. It may very well be that Biden steps in and uses his PEDS, which is the Presidential Emergency Act documents, which are top secret. And maybe Biden finally has he has to do it. He would need to do it, I would think, in the month of December, because the electors' votes are received in Washington, D.C. on Christmas Day. So I really feel like Biden, if he could do it before December 11th, that would be great. Of course, he's not going to do anything over the weekend. I don't know for sure if he's going to do anything, but I did get in meditation that he would. I did get in meditation that he had the proof. And so if he has the proof, he can lay down the law and declare an act of war against the United States from a foreign country. Even that's here a little bit, right? Somebody who did all the work to put Trump in this position. But Biden could lay down the law and then everything stops. There is no inauguration unless he can, if he has the proof that our election was hacked, stolen, suppressed illegally, it not only involves Putin, it also involves Leon, and it also involves the GOP, because they've been suppressing the vote forever. But if they've got proof that ballots were thrown out or not put through the tabulations, if mail-in ballots were not allowed to be, tabulated, scanned and tabulated, that's election subversion. So that would even be, because one of the Presidential Emergency Act documents has to do with foreign powers and domestic, or foreign and domestic, interference in an election. So, okay. But so Biden's in the house of him being able to move forward with victory. That doesn't bode well to me for him. Do you think? In the house of strength, which would be, at the best level, coming from a lot of courage and patience and control and compassion. But no, instead for him, it's weakness and self-doubt and just a lack of self-discipline. And I think he's exhausted and I think he's bored. And to have the Seven of Swords come through in this house, this would be the weakness, because he knows that the election was stolen, but for him. If this card were to come through reversed, it would be him not getting away with it. Okay, but again, I left the cards upright, but this is whatever all these other readers are doing, say they don't read reversals, is that they are actually reading the reversed meaning. I should have just probably allowed for reversals, so anyway. Okay, the Hermit, the House of Hermit would be our house of self-reflection and getting the facts, checking into your inner light. He doesn't do any of that. He doesn't do any soul searching, no introspection. He can't stand being alone. He needs constant adoration, but he's really just bored. and he doesn't ever want to go alone, or I mean, go inward or be alone. So I think this is him on one level having tummy troubles, okay, endocrine system problems, indigestion problems, of course, right? On a health level, the Hermit is our house for endocrine system illnesses, acute illnesses sometimes, not hearing well. Yeah. But anyway, anytime he tries to go inward, if he ever has, he has been met with, oh, this is too boring, I don't want to do this. And there you are, with that Four of Cups. And then also, this is a card, the Four of Cups has a lot to do with being out of balance, and you know, you need to sit. But it's also, in the reverse position, is a lot of unresolved issues with women. We know that that is definitely the case with him and his mother. Mom wasn't even there much, right? She was kind of checked out. So, okay, she was ill and checked out. In the house, in the Wheel of Fortune house, now the Wheel of Fortune is our karma. It's the life cycles that we will go through based on our karma. It's our destiny based on our karma. It's a house and a card of change and major turning points. Well, to have the Knight of Swords come through in that, so we could say the turning point and change is to go, because I do read directionally, is to go backwards, because he doesn't get to pass through this house. There's no passing here. There's no real passing on either of these houses, is there? Right? So it's kind of like go back to square one, which is the Fool, and try again, work a little harder, let go of the external validation, and this is where he is quickly headed without any regards for anything, because there's no thinking when it comes to the Knight of Swords. This is just charging into battle based on an opinion, on an action that's just hasty and not thinking well, scattered thoughts. So the wheel goes around and around and around with his thoughts just going all over the place. Okay, in the House of Justice, legal issues, truth, the cause and effect, the law, the legal system. And what does he have here? The Two of Wands. It's a bit of a start. He does have, he has always had some stable footing, but it's leading back to all of his connections with other countries. And it's not, it's just future planning and maybe some progress. We're not positive there. These are decisions that the person can make. But his decisions are just to overtake the DOJ and do what he wants. We'll see if that works. In the house of the Hanged Man, which is suspension, the need to look for things from a different angle. And here he has the Nine of Wands. Feeling defended, feeling beat up. Maybe even paranoid. Because the only long-term goal that he's ever had that he's followed through with is just to try to be, the emperor. But he's reduced to the Knight of Pentacles here. So, and he has always had problems with his footing and his balance, so there's that. The leaning emperor, right? Which a lot of you guys have told me is part of Alzheimer's. Okay, in the house of big changes. Now, I have really, really, really strict rules when I'm predicting death. And that is that you need to have the Four of Swords or the Ten of Swords. Now, the Eight of Swords, to me, is restriction. But in the House of Death, it tells me he doesn't get the big change or the rebirth because he's restricted in the prison of his own mind. Simple enough to move on there. Temperance, in the House of Temperance, we have the Four of Wands. So, of course he's not temperate. Of course he doesn't really know what's going on. He doesn't have that ability to, to be moderate even. And I don't think he's ever tapped into the deeper meaning and purpose of his life, except for, to reap the karma from the seeds that were sown in the lifetime where he was Benito Mussolini. But on another level here, this would be to have the Four of Wands come in here. So I'm feeling like we could even read this house in the reverse position, which would be, temperance reverse, which would be balance problems and major lack of long-term vision, and then frustration in the future, frustration. Now, he has said he can't get Elon, whatever, can't get him to leave Mar-a-Lago. And, it's pretty interesting to notice that Elon has 11 alive children, and he spent Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago, and none of his kids were around. At least not in the pictures that I saw. Maybe they were being taken care of in some other suite, but you would think that, because every once in a while you'll see one kid on his hip or whatever, holding him. I think in that one of the other pictures he did, upstaging everyone else. Poor Eric, in the background. It's like cue Stephen Colbert, Dad. Okay, but anyway, the Four of Wands here reminds me of Mar-a-Lago. And, it is a card of events and happy celebrations and harmony and marriage and home and community, but he doesn't really have any of that. He has his stupid DJ at Mar-a-Lago playing YMCA ad nauseum, and the people that are there are just there to kiss his you-know-what, and ugh. So I feel like frustration, like he doesn't, he's like all of these old emperors. It's like Nero and getting rid of anybody that doesn't give you the messages that you want around you. So there, again, he is always charging in the wrong direction. And and then with the Four of Wands here, I don't know. I feel like this is, again, one of those cards that would have come through reverse, which would be a lack of planning. And the frustration around not, because that's the thing is when you're not very bright, who was it that posted he has an IQ of 45? That's what we should just all be calling him. That they can't, you don't have critical thinking skills. You can't take a train of thought and follow it through, because all he does is just charges into the battle of life. And then he gets distracted all over the place and distracted here. And then he's caught in the prison of his own mind. So he's stagnant within his false beliefs, and then he blocks the people out who could give him good advice, hence the no presidential daily briefings the whole time he was in office. So, but in his future, more frustration and more really being cut off from actual, family that could be loving, but they're as screwed up as he is. In the house of devil, which is of course the area where we can be in bondage and addiction and be apathetic and cruel and be focused only on sexuality and materialism. We have the King of Wands. So that tells me that his leadership, like he's tied to the dark forces for his little bit of leadership and honor and creativity and vision. But again, this would be another one that would be turned on its head because he's impulsive. So the devil has him where he's impulsive with his impulse control disorder, which every narcissist has. Reverse this card as power hungry and ruthless. Okay? I mean, pretty much says it all. In the House of Tower, now where we can have a big old breakdown or disaster, a big sudden change. You know, ruled by Mars, but I also call it Uranus. Because, you know, back in the day they didn't, because it comes down suddenly. That's the deal. So anyway, Seven of Wands. Has anyone ever noticed the guy doesn't have the same shoes on? You know, had to jump up so quick to get up and try to keep everybody from pushing him off of his perch, right? Because here's the Six of Wands, right? Victorious, blah blah blah, and then you've got to hold your position, stand your ground. He ain't standing his ground because it's in the House of Tower. That's not happening. Homie, don't play that. Homie's gonna hit him over the head with that big old sock and tennis balls in it, I suppose. Yeah, so I'm not feeling like this has to do with like competition and perseverance. The way you would normally read this card upright. I feel like it's the reverse position again, where he might have to give up at some point because he's just completely overwhelmed. And this is our Mars in Leo card. And transiting Mars right now, well, it's going to go retrograde on the 6th. And right now it's in his 12th house. And as it goes retrograde, it's going to, still inhabit that house. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Let me check real quick. His 12th house inhabits 1 degree of Leo to 29 degrees Leo. Yeah. So the 12th house, to have Mars retrograde in that 12th house, Mars moves energy. Well, in his head, is that going to loosen up something up there that is going to, again, blow the head gasket? And then how's he going to stand up so tall then? Well, he doesn't stand up tall anyway. In the House of Star, which is what he hopes for, what he believes in, which gives him some type of inspiration and maybe some kind of renewal, we have the King of Swords. So with the King of Swords, this is somebody who would be clear thinking and with intellectual power and be in their authority. Well, we know that's not him. So we would have to read this card as a reversal as well, and that would, in the reverse position, is somebody who's really a tyrant and who's manipulating things and very, very biased and abusive and even violent. So he's hoping and wishing to be, and this is ruled by Aquarius, actually Uranus rules Aquarius. So, and he has Sun conjunct Uranus. He is the chaos agent himself, and he's hoping to have the DOJ manipulate things for him, skewed in his direction, go in that direction. But I think he can dream on with that. I don't. I mean, well, if he gets in and he names that dude that, you know, then those types of things could happen. But it's not looking to me this way, because by January 20th, he's still locked up in the prison of his own mind. He's still restricted. If he does get in, he's still restricted. In the House of the Moon, which is, well, it depends if you're reading it upright or reversed. Upright is fears, insecurity, illusion, anxiety, a lot of unconscious, issues, as well as memories, memory loss, things like that. And here we have the Seven of Cups. With the Seven of Cups, he thinks he has all these different options, but it's all smoke and mirrors. And he's never going to get under that veil of illusion, to get into who he really is on a spiritual level, because he's never worked through all the darkness in his soul. So his light is very, very dim. The dimwit. So yeah. So Seven of Cups combined that's a lot of illusion when you have this combination here. A tremendous amount of living in fantasy and wishful thinking and making choices based on what you imagine to be true. The Sun is his life force, his light itself that can reveal something, but it's carrying the Ace of Swords. We all know the Ace of Swords reversed it's all about lies and confusion and chaos. And we know he's the chaos agent. We know he has no clarity coming through him. This is my card for when it comes through this way. I'll just put it there and leave it there. His health is related to memory loss. This is memory loss. Judgment in the House of Judgment, as far as his inner calling, absolution, reconciliation with his soul, to reconcile a person's soul with their spirit, takes a lot of inner trust and good judgment to rebirth into that inner calling. That's not him. Judgment reversed is him, which is self-doubt, not going through, that whole questioning inner process of getting to the truth. And he's very untrustworthy in that big stick he wants to carry. But again, if this card were to come through, and yes, in the Pluto-ruled House of Judgment, we're talking about ED problems, we're talking about lack of motivation, delays, weighed down, no energy. That makes sense to me. And then in the World card, which is, of course, ruled by Saturn, where things come full circle, and there's completion and integration and integrity and accomplishment, that's not him. There is no integrity within this man's soul. There is nothing complete that has gone on. It looks to me like he's wasted a lifetime. He's just been here to teach us all the holes in our Constitution. So I have to read this house as showing up in the reverse position as well, which the World card reversed is all about lack of closure, lack of completion, and taking zero self-responsibility. And the Three of Pentacles means go back to the drawing board and, go back to the plan, like maybe the spiritual plan or the physical plan for your next incarnation, and get out of, again, this could be in the reverse position, get out of the realms of dark money, and get out of trying to be a political king just to stay out of prison. right? When it comes to the house of imprisonment, I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. To me, it's either the Tower or the Death. Because the Death card is a big change that's just done. And you have to go through that pain. You have to go through those big changes. And he's stuck. He's restricted there. Yeah, but the Tower could, yeah, absolutely be where a person winds up, thrown in the Tower. But I also tend to look at the Tower as just everything exploding or imploding, and the place where you get kicked out of. I mean, here, let me find the card. Okay. Notice that's somebody out of the top getting kicked out, and that's a crown up there, right? That's a crown. So, I think that does it, except for, let's see, how much do I have more time? Yeah, I do have a little more time. We could knight some cards together and get more of a story. I'm looking forward to the future where justice rules, whether he likes it or not, and other countries being involved to support the USA, like at least NATO, and at least our Five Eyes countries, right? Yay! UK, Australia, Canada. Yeah. And what's the other one? Is New Zealand? Who's the other one? There's another one. Oh, I can't think right now. I'm looking at images here. So, disappointed because I didn't get what I want. Poor baby doesn't get what he wants because the other countries are ganging up on him to hold the space of justice and fairness and equality. Because they know, the other countries know, that there was manipulation. The levers of choice in our voting systems were skewed with, were played with, were manipulated. And here's the big red Russian hat, right? Knighting down here to the House of Tower, he's going to be, his future between now and January 20th is to fight to hold his position, but I think he's going to be thrown out. And then over here, in the House of Judgment, where he could be absolved, judgment is actually, if I leave the card upright, going to give him a big fat whack upside the head. Coming from the divine realms of intervention, possibly. And if we were to put this one back upright, it would be the truth that goes up through that crown being revealed. Right there. The sun, it reveals. So, yeah, there's that. Knighting the unconscious fantasy realm that he lives with to the Eight of Swords in the House of Death. The big changes that he wants that get him back into the White House, I'm not seeing it. And there's balance to be considered as to that celebration where he could get into the White House. If this isn't Mar-a-Lago, we can look at it as being the White House. But in the house that rules the White House, justice, here we have these Two of Wands, and it's like, oh, what now? Thought I had this all settled back here, but what now? Now what do I do now? God. His strength being stolen is what he thinks is happening. But it's more like, oh, maybe we've gotten all the counts in. because, maybe this spread is mostly just all about December, and definitely before December 25th. Maybe it is going back and well, we're running out of time for recounts, but and it doesn't look like Kamala's jumped on board of doing that. But maybe she knows something we don't know, and it has to do with Biden. And Biden's like, "Don't worry, honey, I'm taking care of it. You're not going to have to go through all that, and you're not going to have to pay for it. And we're not going to have to put the, all these different states through it, because we've got other proof." And then there he is. Maybe he's just going to jump on something and head for Russia. That'd be fine with me. I don't think he'd want to live there. But Saudi Arabia, yeah, he already has a tower planned in, what was the name of that town? Something like Jahid or something like that, in Saudi Arabia, or that city. So, okay. The falling from grace will happen quickly. His fall from grace will happen very quickly. And the government has a money trail that can be traced. And again, I read directionally, his position as leader is going backwards. It's going backwards. Yeah. Our legal system will be feeling beat up over this. I think because of what Biden's going to do. Biden's not going to take it lying down, I don't think. I think he's just waiting for the perfect timing. And anybody commenting saying that, where's Biden? Where? You know what? Google's your best friend. He's been out all over the place, and he didn't sit it out on Thanksgiving. He went and visited, where was he? I can't remember I forget. There were trains around him, fire, I can't remember. I'm remembering the picture, but I can't remember exactly the state. I don't think it was New Hampshire. Anyway, yeah, he went out, I think the day before Thanksgiving, and then after as well. He's been out a couple of times. So, let's see. I think that's about it. Simply looking at it in this column, even just reading downward, I could be like Biden will hold his space in the White House until we get everything worked out and analyzed, and the whole plan. Well, he has to have the proof, or close to enough. He would have to have enough with the manipulation. And if I'm knighting some things together this way, it's either, because knighting is either 2 over and 1 up, or 1 over and down. It goes like this way. So here we are with Biden carrying the big stick, and then here's the government, like I said, money trail, showing the obfuscation, the subterfuge, the flip and switch, moving shell, the shell game, moving things around, getting rid of some votes and bringing some other ones in that weren't real. And it connects to Russia, right here, Mother Russia, and their movement. Again, the red hat, the red flag. Yeah. The fall is going to totally knock him off balance. I mean, of course. I mean, the metaphoric and the physical, it will be physical and absolute for him. And then disappointed because he didn't get to sit on his throne. Okay, that's all I have. I hope you guys are having a good weekend. Take good care, as always. Bye.